back to Medrash and Maisa, sharing a story for this week's Parshas Tetzaveh. Shmuel Aaron Yudalevich, one of the great Talmidei Chachamim of Yerushalayim, was a young orphan who was living in Yerushalayim in someone's house with really virtually nothing. It was approaching time for his bar mitzvah. Now, through some fortunate circumstances, he kind of ran away from one school where he had a very unpleasant teacher and ended up in the Eitz Chaim Cheder, where he met Aryeh Levine Zatzal, the famous Yerushalmi Tzaddik, who was the Mashgiach of Eitz Chaim. The Levines took care of him in many ways, and every lunch break he would go to the Levine's house and look through Aryeh's Seferim. Then one day he announced to the Levine family his bar mitzvah was coming, and he wanted to invite them to a small Seuda that would take place for his bar mitzvah in his teacher's house. So Aryeh asked him, he said, "Have you prepared a drasha?" And he said, "I did." So Aryeh said, "No, let's hear." And the Levine family gathered around, and Shmuel Aaron said his drasha for the family. When he finished, Aryeh said to his Rebbetzin, he said, "No, such a drasha deserves a present. What are you going to give this bar mitzvah boy for a present?" So she said, "My name's Chana, and his name is Shmuel. And it says in the Novi that Chana made a me'il for Shmuel. Chana made a coat for Shmuel." Now, she said, "I'm able to make a coat for Shmuel Aaron." To us, this may seem like something very small, but when we consider the fact that he had nothing, he didn't really have the type of Yerushalmi coat, kind of a longish robe that was normally worn by a bar mitzvah boy. He had nothing, and he was overjoyed to hear that she would make this for him. It was a very simple type of thing, made out of simple black cloth. She sewed it at home to the best of her ability and measured it on him, and he was so touched and so moved. And at the bar mitzvah, he wore it and said his drasha again. And then Rav Aryeh came over to him with a little package, and he said, "This is for you from me." Now, before he opened the package, he really had no idea what was going to be in there. In a very offhand way, Rav Aryeh had asked him, "What about tefillin?" And he said delightedly, "I've got that all worked out because I like to daven in the Nate's minyan, and my friend davens in the next minyan. So he said I can use his tefillin when I daven in the Nate's minyan." The package that Rav Aryeh gave him contained tefillin. Again, he was overjoyed. Nonetheless, when it came time later, after he had already become the son-in-law of Aryeh Levine, he married their daughter, and the great Talmud Chacham, he named his Sefer Me'ilo Shel Shmuel, the coat of Shmuel, showing thanks and gratitude for that special act that Rebbetzin Levine did in making him that coat, perhaps even more so than the tefillin. In this week's parsha, we learn about the clothing of the Kohen Gadol, one of which was a me'il. Now, clothing a person is more than just protecting them from the elements. When we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Malbish Arumim, it's true. He clothes those who are unclothed, meaning we cannot take for granted the fact that we have any clothes at all. Nonetheless, Rabbi Yochanan used to call clothes mechabdusa, those which give me honor. This doesn't mean the ego type of honor. It lets me feel comfortable in the setting that I'm in. It lets me feel that I'm dressed appropriately. That's a tremendous form of tzedakah. Rebbetzin Levine, in the footsteps of that original Chana, who made a coat for her son Shmuel, made that coat for Shmuel Aaron, and throughout the years he was able to realize what that did for him, and hence his Sefer, which is learned in Batei Medrash and yeshivas to this day, carries that name, Me'ilo Shel Shmuel, the coat of Shmuel. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu take care of all of us in our times of need, and may we be able to be Makir Tov, to be grateful to him and to everyone who does good for us, wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos, wonderful week.